Hi everyone, just quickly jumping in here because this video is actually part 2 of my Iceland video. I've had to split it up into 2 different videos, so make sure you go and watch the part 1 first, which is day 1 and day 2, before you watch today's video, which is day 3 and 4. So I'll link it above up here so you can go and watch it. If you've already watched the first video, keep watching to find out what happens on day 3 and 4. Okay, so now day 3. So the night before we actually booked a lava tunnel tour. Just gonna pop in here quickly because I realised when I was editing this that I actually missed something out that I really wanted to mention. So on the way to the lava tunnel there was actually a bit where we sort of went across like a sandbar along a bridge. I'll show it in the map. So along there we actually took a really cool photo. I'll show the picture now. And yeah, I just thought I'd mention it because we actually detoured and went sort of a different way to the lava tunnel. Instead of going up, we went down. So if you want to get a really cool photo and also go there because it's just like a nice place to see because it is really pretty. What much more do you have to say about a cave, I guess? The tour guide was really good. They were really funny and they made it really entertaining because obviously we were just talking about rocks and geology and all that sort of thing. So normally I guess to most people that wouldn't be very exciting, but she made it very entertaining. It was just really cool to see and to think that once upon a time there was lava running through this like cave, this like tunnel. Then the second stop was lunch. We drove 15 minutes to a town close by, which I'm not going to pronounce the name of, I'll just put it here. And there was a few lunch places in this town that looked really great, but we actually drove past a pizza place and we were like, oh my god, let's go there. And it was like a microbrewery as well. Good. Something I didn't realise about Iceland is that there was lots of little microbreweries scattered everywhere. I didn't even know they were big into their lager or anything like that, but the beers were really nice as well. So I actually ended up getting an 18-pound pizza because it was my 25th birthday. No, I didn't actually pick an 18-pound pizza because it was my birthday. I picked it because it sounded really nice and I thought, well, why not? I'm in Iceland and it's my 25th birthday. So that's what I got. I got a pizza that had honey, walnut, spring onions, pear, blue cheese and chili flakes, and it was so good. It was so delicious, so different and unique. It got really sickly after a while because it had blue cheese on it, but I tried to eat as much as I could. And then the third stop was the Kerud crater. So Iceland, I feel, is one of those places where you see pictures online and you go there and it's like better in person. I think there's a lot of places in the world where you see pictures online and it's so hyped up, you get there and you're like, that doesn't look that great, or it's not as good as I thought it'd be. So Kerud crater was this volcano that had imploded. I think like an explosion happened quite down under and it made it implode. It imploded below the water level, so that's why there's water in there. And that's all I know about it. If you want to know more, go online and Google it. But that's pretty much what happened. And I posted a picture on my Instagram saying if there was life on Mars, and that's what it looks like. It just looks like how you'd imagine if there was life on Mars, because it was like red, like Mars is supposed to be, but then water, and then like a person, and a few like little green shrubberies. Fourth stop, we went to GULLFOSS Falls. It was absolutely amazing. Ginormous, huge waterfall off like down and through like a big, you know, like a cliff faces and stuff. It just looked really cool from afar looking at it, and then also you can go walk and stand right up next to the falls and look out, and it was just really spectacular. Also one of those places where you see online, you go there and it's just amazing. And then our fifth stop of the day, which was our last stop of the day, which was the GEYSIR hot springs. So the GEYSIR hot springs are like sort of mud holes in the ground. Because the water's so hot, they go when they squirt up into the air every few minutes or hours or whatever. I don't really know the scientifics behind it, okay? But the water's like over 100 degrees or something like that. And some of them, the water spurts up every 10 minutes or something like that. And then some of them it's not as often, and some of them are like dormant. So you pretty much just have to wait there and watch one of them for like 10-15 minutes until it goes. And it's just really, really cool to see, and it scares the crap out of you because it just comes out of nowhere. And then some of them just look really cool, the holes in the ground. It's like it's a hole to like the center of the earth. It just looks really cool because like the water's bubbling and it's like blue. And I need to go back and charge my camera. Woo! I thought you just stayed there.
Did you enjoy that?
Yeah. So for accommodation that night, we actually stayed at a hotel that was right across from the geysers called GEYSIR Hotel, and it was a really, really beautiful Scandi sort of inspired design hotel. There was a restaurant in there, and I had the most delicious fish I've ever had in my entire life. It was so creamy and so good. I had fish and like vegetables, and Joel had lamb, and he really enjoyed his as well. He said it was really, really good. I can't remember what fish he said it was. It was red something, I think. I don't know. I'd never heard of it before, so it obviously must be like an Icelandic local fish. We also had like a lava cake as well for my birthday, because it was my birthday, as I mentioned before, and that was also really delicious. Oh my god, it's like a volcano. Oh yeah, look at that. Okay, so day 4, it was our last full day in Iceland. And then first up we went to THINGVESIR National Park. So I tried to pronounce that properly, so we went to the national park and it took 40 minutes to get there. We parked in the THINGVESIR parking P5 area. I'll try and show it on a map now. It was just a really good area because we were away from like the main car park. And what you actually have to do is buy your ticket online for the parking. So I'll link below where you can buy the ticket so that you can buy it online first before you go there, just in case you don't have internet reception. So we actually went up to the lookout first, where the cliff faces, and then we just pretty much went down and did like a loop around the river where the church was. The thing about THINGVESIR National Park is that you think, oh yeah, national park, like what more else could it be? This was probably the thing that I was like least looking forward to, least excited about. But when I got there, it just, everything in Iceland is just like, oh my god, wow, this is actually just so beautiful. The cool thing about THINGVESIR National Park is that it's actually, it's where like 2 tectonic plates meet, and they have moved, and they move all the time. That's why there's like that cliff face and everything, and the jagged rocks, because that's where the 2 plates have moved, the earth. I hope I'm getting that right. There's just so much natural history in Iceland, and everything is just really fascinating. But it's also a location of something very important that happened in Iceland many, many years ago. So many years ago in Iceland, there was all these different clans all over the country. I think they'd come from Norway, and what they ended up doing is they all came together to meet up in THINGVESIR National Park. So it was like a place where they ended up discussing the law and how they were all going to live harmoniously, because they'd all come from Norway and they were all over the place and all that sort of thing. In the end, the national park sort of became a parliament of where they like discussed different matters about the country and what they were going to do, and they tried criminals and all that sort of thing. The name THINGVESIR National Park actually means Fields of Parliament. And then I'm just going to pop in here a suggestion that we didn't get time to do is another ATV buggy tour that you can do. They're near Reykjavik, so sort of on your way from THINGVESIR National Park to the Blue Lagoon, which is where we're going next. There was like an ATV buggy tour that you can do nearby. That looked really fun. But our next stop was actually lunch. We actually went and made our way sort of back to Reykjavik, but we ended up going more south in Reykjavik, not where the main happenings were. We actually went to this random little town on the sea, and we went to this hot dog place that was in like a car park, and these little hot dog places are like everywhere in Reykjavik, and we got some really nice hot dogs and chips for lunch, and so that was really, really cheap. We also went to this little cafe right across the road and had some hot drinks and a really nice no, it wasn't cinnamon scroll, it was a really nice chocolate scroll, really, really good. Don't recommend the coffee there because it was one of those ones where you just go up to like a machine and just pour it in yourself and that's it. It wasn't like a proper cappuccino or anything like that, so I don't recommend the coffee. But I think Joel's hot chocolate was nice, I guess.
Hello, Mr. Seagull.
And then the last stop was the Blue Lagoon. So with the Blue Lagoon, you have to book tickets online first. I think our tickets were about 40 to 60 quid. I can't 100% remember, and I can't find any proof of how much they were. And we booked in for 4 o'clock in the afternoon because I thought that's probably when it's going to be least busy, and it's open till like 9 at night anyway. But the thing was, we actually arrived an hour early, but that was fine. They let us in anyway. But the weather was really horrible. It was just really cloudy and foggy, and you couldn't see anything. It was like raining sideways, so it wasn't good for taking photos or footage or anything like that. You wouldn't be able to see anything. You could only see like the people in the water and the water. So even though it wasn't great for footage, it doesn't matter because we had a great time anyway. We got a mud mask that was included in the package, and you also got one alcoholic or non-alcoholic drink, so that was really good. We only stayed for about 2 hours because after a while it got really hot. And then for accommodation that night, we stayed in a little Airbnb in a town right next to the airport, just so in the morning we could get up and just drive to the airport because we were flying out early in the morning. We went to fill up our car with fuel before we went to the Airbnb because we were really close to the airport, so just so that we didn't have to do it in the morning. And it was like a self-service pump, so that was fine. We did all the stuff, but on my Monzo app for my bank card, it came up for the charge for the fuel, which was like 25 quid or something, and then it came up with this extra charge of like 150 quid from the petrol place, and I was just like, what the hell? But then the good thing was about the Monzo app, you could click on it and say, what is this payment, dispute this payment, and then it said something like, sometimes with petrol, self-service petrol stations, it like charges you this extra amount, I guess for safety reasons, or like so that you don't drive off with petrol and not pay. I don't really get how that works because you have to put your card in first before you take the fuel. So it obviously it's some sort of thing with, it said with petrol stations and other things, I don't know. It didn't happen when we actually went to go pay a person in a non-self-serve checkout, but it did it with a self-serve one. We were flying out the next day, so it didn't really matter that the 150 quid had gone out of our account because it said it wouldn't go back in for another 30 days. It took like a week, I think. But just keep that in mind because I think if I was on my own, I don't have a credit card, so I can't fork out extra money. I just usually have the money that is in my bank account and that's it. So just keep that in mind because I think if you were just someone who didn't have the money, you just would have been stranded. You would have had to like call up the petrol company and be like, can you please transfer it back now because I don't have any money. But thank God we had extra money saved up, and Joel has a credit card where he could have got money out if we needed to. And then for dinner that night, we went for a little local place in that little town called Malay Thai restaurant. I know you're probably thinking, why would I go to a Thai restaurant in Iceland? But had really good reviews, and I was like keen to try something different, and none of the other restaurants in the area really took my fancy. And I had this really nice pork, I think it was like a pork meatball noodly soup, and it was so good. So good that I put a Google review on Google for them because it was that nice. Really tasty, really delicious. And then afterwards we went to a bar called Cafe Petite. It just had like a cool vibe of like old chairs and like all the old sewing machines and maps on the wall. It was just like quite cool, and they had pool tables, and the guy that worked there did really nice cocktails as well, so we had a few drinks there. Anyway, that's the end of my little rundown of our itinerary in Iceland. I hope you've made it this far. I hope you've made it this far, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. Also, just quickly mention how much we spent in Iceland. So for spending money like food and activities, not including accommodation and car rental, we spent about £740 to £360 each for the 4 nights that we were there. I wouldn't say that we went all out and like went to really expensive places because Iceland's expensive pretty much everywhere. You could definitely do it a bit cheaper than that because I know that you can go to the supermarkets and you can buy food for lunch or for dinner, or you can make food if you stay in Airbnbs or apartments with kitchens. So the Hella and the Strakta hotel sort of inland in Iceland, I actually booked through booking.com. I found that the hotels were the same price as Airbnbs in that area, and with the hotel you got included breakfast, and then there was also a restaurant in the hotel. So I thought I might as well just stay in a hotel, get free breakfast, and then we can just go to the restaurant and have really nice food. Otherwise, if we stayed in Airbnb, we would have had to make our own food and cook our own dinner, or drive somewhere for dinner and not be able to have like a drink or relax. So I just found it was better value for money to get a hotel in those areas. In Reykjavik and near the airport, I got an Airbnb because that just was cheaper in that area. So I suggest definitely going on both of those websites, or sort of like looking around for the cheapest deals because it won't always be all on one website. And obviously it can be cheaper because a lot of people camp. But yeah, Iceland is such an amazing place and we've only scratched the surface of it. I'd really love to go back and do the whole of Iceland, like go around the ring road and do all of it. I probably would do it a lot cheaper if I was spending a lot more time there. In May, I thought it would still be quite busy because it was sort of like the shoulder season. It was quite quiet everywhere. And normally that would really bother us. We would be like, oh, this is a bit quiet and boring, like there's no atmosphere. But with Iceland, it was just so naturally beautiful that you didn't need all that stuff. It just spoke for itself. I just felt at peace being there. It was just, I don't know, there was just something about it. It was just amazing. I felt so happy just being out in the middle of nowhere just because it was so beautiful to look at. Anyway, I'm going to end this video now. I really hope you enjoyed it. I have spent a lot of time putting this little script together for this video and filming for this, and I soon will be editing it and spending a lot of time on it. It's going really dark. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my Instagram because I posted tons of really cool pictures from Iceland, if I do say so myself. Anyway, I'm gonna go.